at a time until the draft happens, and the combine hasn't even happened yet, so things might change after the combine. But I want to get this one out a little bit early. I might do another one after the combine if it looks like anything is going to change at all. I'm not sure if it will, but we'll see. I'm also going to do an NHL trade deadline video. I think the deadline is the 6th or the 4th, one of those days, but after the NHL deadline I'll do a video on that. Yeah, now just off the top, I don't watch college football. I'm not a college sports guy, not really, so I'm not going to have a ton of insight into any of these players. I'm not going to be really giving my own opinion on these players. Like I said, I don't watch them, so I don't know, but I'm just going to kind of talk about what the draft experts are saying about them, you know. I'm just going to be going over a couple different websites, mock drafts, and talking about them. So let's get into it. Now this first one, two of these have trades. I think one of them doesn't. This is the first one. Now, when I did my video on the last week of the regular season, and I talked about the Bears getting the number 1 overall pick, I predicted in that video that the Texans would trade to get that pick from the Bears, and the Bears would move down to 2 because the Bears don't need a quarterback. So I think it's very possible any of those teams that need a quarterback, the Texans, the Panthers, or the Colts, will attempt to trade to get that number 1 overall pick and leapfrog the other team so they can get the quarterback they want. I think the most likely team to do that is probably the Houston Texans. So this draft here is the Houston Texans doing that. In my personal opinion, I think this is what's going to happen. But there's a couple other drafts I'm going to look at that have the other teams trading up. So we're going to go over the top 5 from those 3 different drafts. And then after that, we're just going to go through the rest of them. And I'm just going to do the first round. So this draft on CBS has the Houston Texans trading the Chicago Bears to get the first overall pick, and them taking quarterback C.J. Stroud at the number 1 overall pick from Ohio State. He's a 6'3", 218-pound junior. And they have him ranked as the second best QB in the draft, 4th overall prospect in the draft. The Texans aren't willing to risk somebody trading ahead of them and getting their guy, so they do it instead. Lovie Smith's final give it to the Chicago Bears. Lovie Smith's final gift to the Chicago Bears is a Week 18 victory that netted them a few more picks. Texans fans will forgive him for it so long as Stroud pans out, and there's a good chance he will. Then this is kind of weirdly worded, I don't know. Then this has the second overall pick at the Bears now, Jalen Carter, defensive line from Georgia, 6'3", 300 pounds. That's crazy to me. I'm 6'3". I hover between like 215 and 225, depending on how strict I've been on my diet, how much I've been in the gym. I can't imagine weighing 300 pounds at my height. Like, I just can't imagine that. They have him ranked as the second best prospect in the draft, but the number 1 DL. What's interesting is the CBS mock draft. I'm looking at the prospect rank, and none of these guys in the top 4 are the number 1 prospect, what they consider to be. Until the Bears address the 3 technique spot in their defense via free agency or trade. I'm operating under the assumption that Jalen Carter will remain above Will Anderson on their draft board. He is the best player in this draft, makes everybody's job easier. Now they have the Panthers trading up to the 3rd overall pick from the Arizona Cardinals, which is interesting. And they have them taking quarterback Bryce Young from Alabama, 6 foot, 194 pounds. size and which teams are and aren't concerned about it. 6 foot doesn't really seem that short. I think that's a bit taller than Kyler Murray. I don't know. Now we finally have the first team that doesn't get a trade here, and that's Will Levis, QB. Getting taken 4th overall by the Indianapolis Colts. 6'3", 232 pounds out of Kentucky. The 6th overall prospect, 3rd best QB in the draft. This is where I have to divorce what I saw with my eyes from Levis at Kentucky from how NFL teams will evaluate him as a prospect. Levis is a player who will be impressive in workouts and fits the mold of where the Colts have gone with prior QB choices. Now at 5th overall, we have my favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks. They take Will Anderson, Jr., edge from Alabama, 6'4", 243 pounds. And this is the pick we got in the Russell Wilson trade. They have him as the number 1 prospect in the draft and the number 1 edge in the draft. Which, if this ends up happening as a Seahawks fan, I'm not going to be upset, but I have a feeling this guy's not going to drop to us at 5, but who's to say? It's insane that a player like Will Anderson would drop to number 5 in this draft, but that's life when the QB position is important as it is. The Seahawks certainly won't mind. I don't know that Anderson will be a generational talent at the NFL level, but I'm confident he'll be a Pro Bowl level player at worst. Like I said, if that can happen, I'm not going to complain, certainly, but I don't feel like that's going to happen. Now, this trade this mock doesn't have any trades at all. So we're going to move to this one, just because this one also has trades. Now this, hold on, let me adjust myself here. This one has the Indianapolis Colts trading up at number 1 overall. But instead of taking C.J. Stroud at number 1, the Colts take Bryce Young from Alabama. They say the Colts still make the most sense as a trade partner for the Bears here as they leap ahead of a division rival to grab their quarterback of choice in return for a package that include at least this year's 2nd round pick, next year's 1st round pick. Chicago drops down 3 spots with the Colts usher in a new era with this year's top quarterback prospect. So this website, this is DraftWire. DraftWire considers Bryce Young the top quarterback prospect in this year's draft, whereas CBS, they have him as the number 1 prospect as well. But I guess they think some teams might have concerns about his height. Number 2, they have the Houston Texans taking C.J. Stroud, which is funny because they take C.J. Stroud when they jump up to 1 here. So maybe everyone kind of ends up with the quarterback they want anyway, even if trades do happen, which maybe means that trades won't end up happening and the Bears still pick at 1. I guess we'll see. While it would hurt to see the Colts jump them for Young, Stroud is anything but a consolation prize. He's the only other quarterback in this class with the polish to be a week 1 starter. He could easily make a strong case to be the first one off the board. DeMeco Ryans gets his franchise passer to build around for the present and future. Now this draft has the Cardinals not trading their pick, but at the number 3 spot they take Will Anderson. Instead the Seahawks getting him at 5 like the CBS draft. 2 quarterbacks coming off the board first is a huge win for the Cardinals, who land the best overall prospect in the entire draft at number 3 overall. Anderson is a dominant force off the edge who could have easily been last year's number 1 overall pick had he been eligible. Now I don't like this draft as much just because they're saying my team isn't getting Will Anderson, so I'm going to go and say that this draft is wrong. And then number 4, the Chicago Bears, using that Indianapolis pick, take Jalen Carter, who they were predicted to take at number 2 in that CBS draft. This is an ideal scenario for the Bears, who get additional draft picks to move down a few spots and still end up with one of the prospects they could have happily taken at number 1 overall. Carter's a disruptive force at the point of attack and would make an immediate impact to our defensive front desperate for playmakers. Now we see with both Carter and Anderson off the board, who do DraftWire think the Seahawks take at 5. Texas Tech edge Tyree Wilson. The Russell Wilson trade is the gift that keeps on giving for the Seahawks, who are headed to the playoffs and still have a top 5 pick at their disposal. This is a perfect spot for them to help out their defensive front, either along the interior or on the edge, and Wilson is a huge upside prospect who's a perfect fit for what Seattle wants at the position. Now this draft here is the no trades draft. So this is the one that they think will happen if no trades are made, which is certainly a possibility. So if no trades happen, at number 1 overall, the Chicago Bears take Jalen Carter, which is who they're predicted to take in all 3 of these drafts, is Jalen Carter. But the Yahoo Sports, which is who this draft is through, say that he's the best player in the draft, whereas the other 2 drafts are saying, well, Anderson's the best player in the draft. This guy's the best player in the draft. A defensive tackle going first overall might seem a bit rich, but Jalen Carter's the talent to be among the best in the league as a rookie. He's really that special of a talent. Okay. Now this also has the Houston Texans taking C.J. Stroud, who they've been predicted to take in all 3 drafts. Texans are almost guaranteed to draft a quarterback with this pick, and C.J. Stroud might have the cleanest floor with the high ceiling to improve and become a game breaker for Houston. This draft also has the Cardinals taking Will Anderson Jr. Jonathan Gannon's going to need a massive upgrade in defensive line talent if he wants to create the success he had in Philadelphia. Will Anderson's a great start on that, but even he will need some help around him in free agency and the later rounds of the draft. This draft also has the Colts taking Bryce Young, so all 3 of these kind of agree on which quarterbacks are going where. They just can't seem to agree on when those quarterbacks are coming off the board. Bryce Young might be a nice fit for the offense that new head coach Shane Steichen is going to install at the Colts. Young will be one of the smallest quarterbacks to get drafted this highly, but his play warrants it. And this draft also has the Seahawks taking Tyree Wilson at 5. Tyree Wilson should see a big boost in his draft stock after the NFL Combine next week. Wilson's a big, productive, athletic pass rusher that has a chance to be a dominant pro if he ends up with the right team. Now, I like this one the most, just based on like the aesthetics of it, the way they've laid it out. So I'm going to continue on the remainder of these picks from 6 onwards using this CBS draft. Round 1, pick 6, the Detroit Lions draft Miles Murphy, D-line from Clemson, 6'5", 275 pounds. Considered the 5th overall prospect, 2nd in his position. This is a pick they get from the LA Rams, probably in the Stafford trade, but I'm not sure. Adding Aiden Hutchinson last season was a boost to the Detroit defense, but there's no need to stop adding more to the pass rush possibilities. Murphy's performance at the Combine could make or break his draft stock, but he's scheme versatile, so plenty of teams will see ways they can fit him in. Okay. 7th overall pick, the Raiders take offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State, 6'6", 310 pounds. Considered the 21st best prospect in this class, but 2nd overall OT, so maybe a bit of a reach coming off the board this early, but this year's OT class lacks an obvious number 1, and I wonder if that's part of the reason I don't think it's a great class overall. Of the options, Paris Johnson is my number 1, and where I'd go first, both for what he already is and what he could become. Okay, now this draft has Tyree Wilson, who's been mocked to the Seahawks at 5 in multiple drafts now, well, 2 drafts now, coming off the board at 8, and they consider him the 16th best prospect in the draft, so well below that 5 spot the other 2 had him at. And the 2nd best edge, Tyree Wilson, 6'6", 275 pounds from Texas Tech. Wilson's another player whose stock could shift based on high performance in workouts. Based on what's on tape, this is a player with a high motor that's still got room to grow as far as pass rushing technique. If he runs well, I've talked to some people who think he'd end up the first pass rusher taken, even ahead of Will Anderson. this is mocking that the mock trade to the Panthers trading up to get their QB, right? And in this draft, the Cardinals take cornerback Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, 64th overall prospect, 8th best cornerback. This is kind of, I don't know, they have the 21st, 16th, and 64th coming off the board this early. That's kind of weird to me. The Cardinals could have stayed at number 3 and taken Will Anderson, but they have so many needs, and Carolina's willing to give up so much, it made more sense to move down. Gonzalez has the length and athleticism every team looks for in a corner on the perimeter. The 10th overall pick, the Eagles, who just lost the Super Bowl, maybe looking to reinforce a little bit to get back there. A trade from the Saints, they get Broderick Jones, offensive tackle from Georgia, 6'4", 310 pounds. 28th overall prospect, 3rd at OT. Paris Johnson is my number 1 OT overall, but if I were rating simply on ceiling, Jones would be the choice. He's an incredible athlete and plays angry, but he's also still learning the position. The Eagles value the trenches and they can develop. He could be a day 1 starter or spend a season as depth before taking on a full-time role. At the 11th overall pick, the Titans are taking Jordan Addison, wide receiver, 12th overall prospect, 2nd at his position, 6 foot, 175 pounds from USC. The Titans' offense severely lacks players who can take the top off a defense after trading A.J. Brown, and Addison is a game breaker. He doesn't have Brown's size and speed combo, but he's just so dang good at getting open. He's a lot like Devontae Smith, who coincidentally now plays alongside A.J. Brown. 12th overall pick, the Texans, their 2nd pick in this draft. This pick coming from the Cleveland Browns, probably in the Deshaun Watson trade. Get Quentin Johnston, wide receiver from TCU, 9th overall prospect in this draft. 1st wide receiver, 6'4", 215 pounds. It's possible the Titans could take Johnston over Addison, but not in this mock. Instead, the Texans get a receiver who isn't as polished a route runner, but has the long speed to get over the top of defenses and isn't afraid to get over the middle. He could prove an excellent option for new QB C.J. Stroud. At the 13th overall pick, the New York Jets take offensive tackle Peter Skoronski from Northwestern, 6'4", 315 pounds. 8th overall prospect, rank 1st at his position. In this universe, I imagine the Jets address their QB issues via trade or free agency, which is what I kind of think too. I think they're gonna make a big splash for one of the big name QBs. I think Aaron Rodgers to the Jets isn't crazy. And use this pick to address an offensive line that needs help. Skoronski is talented enough to play tackle, but it's possible he doesn't have the ideal frame and arm length to match up with NFL pass rushers and win consistently. So maybe he gets knocked inside the guard. Either way, the Jets can use him. At the 14th overall pick, the New England Patriots take Lucas Van Ness, edge from Iowa, 6'5", 275 pounds. 48th overall prospect, ranked 7th at his position. Van Ness is a player whose stock is likely to rise at the combine. I have him going to the Patriots here. There's familiarity between Bill Belichick and the Iowa coaching staff, so the Pats will have all the necessary intel on Van Ness. He's not a finished product and has a lot left to learn, but there's a high ceiling. And then at the 15th overall pick, they had the Green Bay Packers selecting Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver from Ohio State, 6'1", 200 pounds. 26th overall prospect, 3rd at his position. Aaron Rodgers emerged from a darkness retreat earlier this week, having had a vision that showed him he needed Jackson Smith and Najee to add to the Packers' offense to play alongside their other young receivers to take that next step toward a Super Bowl. Or may the Packers see JSN as an excellent addition to their offense. Regardless of what Rodgers saw while tripping on shrooms, whatever the case, Smith and Najiba was the best receiver on an Ohio State offense that included Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave in 2021. He's pretty good. At the 16th overall pick, they mock the Washington Commanders to take Cody Mauch, offensive tackle from North Dakota State, 6'6", 303 pounds, 55th overall prospect, 8th at his position. Mauch's name pops up routinely when talking to people who attended the Senior Bowl. He was impressive at the event, and if he performs well at the combine and in workouts, he may sneak up into the first round. I haven't seen a lot of Mauch, who played at FCS Powerhouse North Dakota State. But while he moves well, I wonder if he'll be forced to kick inside from tackle. Washington would be fine with that. At the 17th overall pick, they predict that the Pittsburgh Steelers won't draft Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois, 6 feet, 180 pounds, 14th overall prospect, 3rd at his position. I had the Steelers go with Joey Porter Jr. in my first mock, but I'm ditching the family reunion story this time, mostly because Witherspoon wasn't available at this point of my last mock. He is here, and he's Pittsburgh's choice as it needs help at corner, and Witherspoon plays with an edge that I can't help but believe Mike Tomlin will fall in love with. 18th overall pick, Joey Porter Jr., cornerback from Penn State, 6'2", 194 pounds. Going to the Detroit Lions, 20th overall prospect, 4th at his position. The Lions are happy the Steelers opted to skip the family reunion because that allows them to take Porter instead and continue to improve their defense. Porter hits every measurable you want the position, has excellent ball skills, also given to his father, as you won't be surprised to learn he doesn't shy away from physicality. At the 19th overall pick, they predicted that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select 10th overall prospect and best tight end in the draft, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, 6'4", 265 pounds. I had Tampa take Anthony Richardson in my first mock, and they could. However, a part of me wonders if Tampa wouldn't prefer to start a rebuild following Tom Brady's retirement. This is a team that's a few moves away from being a serious contender for the number 1 pick next year. Whatever the case, Meyer's the best tight end in this class and be useful to whatever QB Tampa opts to go with in 2023 or 2024. At the 20th overall pick and for their second draft pick in the first round, the Seattle Seahawks take Brian Breesy, defensive line, 35th prospect, rank 4th at his position from Clemson, 6'5", 305 pounds. If the Seahawks come out the first round of Will Anderson and Brian Breesy, I will declare they've won the draft. Anderson is my number 1 edge rusher, and Breesy is my number 2 interior DL behind Jalen Carter. They'd still need to address their O-line, but the DL would be fixed in one night in this scenario. Well, that sounds nice, but because that sounds nice, I am less inclined to believe that that's even a possibility. 21 overall, the LA Chargers take Keyshawn Boot, wide receiver from LSU, 6', 205 pounds, 36th overall prospect, rank 4th rated wide receiver. Boot is flying under the radar before the combine, but I expect that to change after Indianapolis. His strengths weren't a great fit with LSU QB Jaden Daniels last season, but he's a 5-star recruit out of high school for a reason. He can line up at different spots and is a serious vertical threat, so he's very fast. 22nd overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Brian Branch, the number 1 rated safety in the draft and the 11th rated prospect. Out of Alabama, he's 6 foot, 193 pounds. The way this mock breaks down, I can see Baltimore going 1,000 different ways here. So when you aren't sure, just pull the old Ravens reliable of having them pick the best Alabama player left on the board. Seriously, Branch would be an excellent addition to the Baltimore defense. He played everywhere in the Alabama defense during his time there, and he played well everywhere. His versatility is why he's my number 1 safety in the class, even if he isn't always playing safety. Okay. The 23rd overall pick of round 1, the Minnesota Vikings take Kalia Cansey, D-line from Pittsburgh. 6 foot, 280 pounds. 49th rated prospect in this draft, 8 at his position. I've always said anytime you can take a disruptive, undersized tackle from Pitt, you have to do it. Okay, so Kalia Cansey isn't Aaron Donald, but hardly anybody is, but he is disruptive and plays every snap like it's his last. He'd be an absolute steal for the Vikings or anybody who takes him. 6 foot, 280 is crazy. For the 24th pick, they think that the Jacksonville Jaguars will select Osiris Torrance, offensive line from Florida. 6'5", 347 pounds. They have him as the 15th ranked prospect and first at his position, but going off at 24. I'm not as high on Torrance as others, but I completely understand why many consider him the best guard in the class. Of course, I think the best guards in this class still think they're tackles. Anyway, the Jaguars can use help on the interior of their O-line, and Torrance would be a good fit. With the 25th pick, they predict that the New York Giants will select Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee, 6 foot, 185. 56th overall prospect, 7th best wide receiver in the draft. I'm skeptical Hyatt will be an immediate contributor at the NFL level, so maybe the Giants will look elsewhere. However, Hyatt has the kind of explosiveness and deep ball skills not many others in this class have. I think the transition what he was asked to do in Tennessee's offense to what he'll be asked of him in an NFL offense will take a while. But the player who emerges on the other side could prove to be elite. With the 26th pick, the Dallas Cowboys take Trenton Simpson, linebacker from Clemson, 6'3", 240 pounds. Second best linebacker in the draft, 46th overall prospect. The Cowboys are another team I'm not sure about in this spot. Given Jerry Jones loves shiny objects, Dallas could go after Bijan Robinson here. It would make sense as Robinson's phenomenal, but I don't like taking running backs in the first round. A more prominent need for Dallas would be a linebacker, another position I don't love taking in the first. And Simpson's strength, speed, ability, and coverage intelligence all make him a very interesting prospect. The 27th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills take Antonio Johnson, safety from Texas A&M. 6'3", 195, 24th overall prospect, second best safety in the draft. Johnson isn't my number 1 safety in the class, but that's more about Brian Branch than Johnson. He's undoubtedly one of the most interesting prospects in the class because, like Branch, he did a lot of different things at A&M. His ability to play different roles effectively shows off how smart he is, and that, combined with his athleticism, makes me think Johnson will be a productive player if placed in a defense creative enough to take advantage of his abilities. Going down to the last few picks here. 28th overall pick, round 1, the Cincinnati Bengals are mocked to take Darnell Wright, O-line from Tennessee, 6'6", 335. 136th overall prospect, 11th at his position. Wright is a 5-star out of high school and played both tackle spots during his 4-year career as a starter on Rocky Top. He's much better as a pass blocker than a run blocker to this point, but I don't think the Bengals will mind that, seeing as how protecting Joe Burrow will be the top 3 things on his to-do list every week. Joe Burrow needs it, man. He has been getting mauled last season, like during the playoffs. Burrow was just getting hit way too much, and it's a huge problem. Massive problem for the Bengals. You need to protect him. 29th overall pick. New Orleans Saints are mocked to take a B.J. Ojulari. This is their pick from the Niners. 29th overall prospect in the draft. Going at 29. 3rd overall edge. The only knock on Ojulari after the combine will be his production at LSU. That can be explained by playing under multiple defensive coordinators during his college career, all of whom asked him to do different things. At the end of the day, he's a stud, and we'll have him going late first year. He could go much earlier. 6'3", 250 out of LSU. Crazy. Alright, the second to last pick, the penultimate pick in the first round. They are predicting that the Philadelphia Eagles will take Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina, 6', 188. 7th overall prospect, first at his position. Kind of find hard to believe the 7th overall prospect and first best cornerback will fall all the way to the second to last pick in the first, but I guess we'll see. I've seen a lot of mocks that the Eagles taking one of the top running backs here, but based on what the Eagles have drafted, that seems out of character. Corner is likely to be considered a more pressing need than RB in Philly, and Cam Smith is a player who could be a day one starter. He's physical, quick, and has excellent ball skills. And in the final pick of the draft, the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, select Nolan Smith, edge out of Georgia, 6'3", 235 pounds. They've missed the 51st overall prospect in the draft, 8th at his position. Depending on what happens to Orlando Brown, the Chiefs could go with an OT like Anton Harrison here. I expect they franchise Brown and add to their pass rush in Nolan Smith. Smith is a stud that produces and does all the little things that lead to production for everybody else. He's a champion who would fit right into a champion locker room. So that is the mock of the first round of the NFL draft. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think any of those trades are going to happen? I personally think the Texans move up to 1. I've been saying that since the end of the regular season. But let me know. Who do you think goes number 1? To who? Who do you think your team drafts? Who do you hope your team drafts? I'd love to hear any and all feedback in the comments down below. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Almost every single day we have a new episode of 2K coming out, hopefully tomorrow, but at least it'll be out by Wednesday. So next 2Ks we'll have 2K. And like I said, NHL trade deadline March 6th, March 4th, whenever that is. So until next time, guys,